a chance encounter that sparked a storm of emotion. It was a brisk winter morning when Elon Musk, now a global tech icon and multi-billionaire, made an impromptu stop at a small bookstore in Los Angeles. Known for rarely appearing in public without a reason, his visit was unplanned, a brief detour before a high-profile investor meeting. As he browsed the aisles, his attention was caught not by a book, but by a voice. It was faint but unmistakably familiar. Turning around, he saw an elderly woman carefully placing books on a high shelf. Her silver hair was pulled back neatly, and her frail frame moved with care and dignity. Musk froze. That voice, those hands, he knew them. It was Maria Gonzalez, his childhood nanny, who had helped raise him during his early years in South Africa. Overwhelmed, he slowly approached her. "Maria?" he asked softly. She turned, puzzled at first, until her eyes locked onto his. A moment passed. Then came the recognition, and tears welled in her eyes. "Elon, my little lion," she whispered, using the pet name she'd given him as a boy. The bookstore fell away in that instant. Two lives, decades apart, reunited by fate. Two, a glimpse into the past and the harsh present. They sat in a nearby cafe, reminiscing. Maria, now 85, spoke with a quiet strength. She had never married, never had children of her own. Her life had been devoted to caregiving, first to Elon and later to other families after his mother moved the family abroad. Life, she explained, hadn't been easy. After decades of work, she had no retirement savings, no pension. The little she had was gone after a medical emergency years earlier. Pride kept her from reaching out to anyone, not even Elon, whose success she'd followed from afar. "I didn't want to be a burden," she said, smiling gently. Elon listened, visibly shaken. The woman who had once rocked him to sleep, told him bedtime stories, and dried his tears had been forgotten by a world that moved too fast to care. He hadn't even known she was still alive. "I owe her more than I can ever repay," he told a close friend that night. Chapter 3, a gesture that shocked the world. The very next day, Musk's team sprang into action. Maria was discreetly moved into a luxury retirement community where she would have the best medical care, nutrition, and social support. But that was just the beginning. Within a week, Musk announced the Maria Foundation, a $100 million charitable trust dedicated to supporting elderly caregivers who, like Maria, had fallen through the cracks of the system. The foundation would offer pensions, housing, and medical aid to retired nannies, nurses, and caregivers across the world. "I'm not doing this out of guilt," Elon said at the press conference. "I'm doing this out of love and responsibility. Caregivers are the silent pillars of society. Without Maria, I wouldn't be who I am." The media exploded. From viral social media posts to major news networks, the story captivated millions. Elon Musk, often portrayed as a hard-nosed businessman, had shown a deeply personal side. Critics were silenced, and supporters celebrated. Wakes each morning to birdsong, sips tea on her sun-dappled balcony, and joins other elderly caregivers in daily wellness activities provided by the Maria Foundation residents, a state-of-the-art facility named in her honor. But what brings her the most joy isn't the ocean view, the chef-prepared meals, or even the full-time healthcare staff. It's the handwritten letters she still exchanges with Elon Musk. They don't talk business or technology. They talk memories, dreams, life. Elon still calls himself my little lion. She chuckled in a recent interview, her eyes gleaming with warmth. He says, "I gave him his first rocket, the kind you make out of paper towel rolls and imagination." For Maria, those letters are a continuation of a bond that began in a small Johannesburg home where she once sang lullabies to a restless, wildly curious boy. For Elon, those letters are a tether to the part of himself that existed before SpaceX, Tesla, or global fame, a reminder of humility, care, and the quiet strength of those who shaped him. The impact of their reunion has reverberated far beyond the walls of Maria's retirement community. What began as a deeply personal act of gratitude has since transformed into a global movement for elder dignity. The Maria Foundation, initially created to support retired caregivers in the U.S., has now expanded into 5 countries, including South Africa, India, Brazil, the Philippines, and the United Kingdom. Each regional center offers more than shelter and sustenance. It offers recognition, something these silent heroes have rarely received. There are annual caregiver honor ceremonies where former nannies, nurses, and domestic workers walk red carpets and gowns, cheered on by families they once cared for. Their stories are documented and preserved in the Foundation's archives. Their legacy is made visible. I never thought I'd live to see a world where people like me were celebrated, said Nayana Das, an 87-year-old caregiver from Kolkata, who now resides at the India chapter of the Foundation. All because one man remembered the woman who raised him. But if you ask Elon Musk, he'll say it wasn't a choice, it was a calling. In a rare personal post on social media, Musk wrote, Maria didn't just feed me or tuck me in. She taught me empathy, patience, and resilience. She believed in my dreams before I could articulate them. The world calls me a visionary, but she was my foundation. This is her legacy. I'm just carrying it forward. The Foundation's influence has begun reshaping how society views elder care entirely. Policy discussions are underway in multiple countries, prompted by the visibility and success of Musk's initiative. Think tanks are reevaluating caregiver pension systems. Educational institutions are inviting former caregivers to speak on resilience, compassion, and the invisible labor that sustains society. For Maria, however, the legacy is more personal than global. It lives in the laughter of her companions during bingo nights. It's in the way young volunteers from local schools sit at her feet to hear stories of the boy who built rockets. And it's in the way her story, once quiet and hidden, has now become a symbol of lasting impact. She often says, I never asked for riches. I only ever wanted my children, whether born to me or not, to have a better life than I did. Through Elon Musk, that simple wish has taken on a scale she never imagined. Not only did her little lion succeed, he roared across the world and made sure the one who raised him would never be forgotten. As the sun sets over the peaceful California horizon, Maria sometimes stands quietly by her window, watching the stars emerge. Somewhere out there, rockets she once inspired cut through the sky. But down here, on Earth, her legacy burns even brighter. In the lives she's touched, the homes she's restored, and the future she helped rewrite. And it all began with one quiet moment in a modest bookstore where the past whispered a name and the future, finally, answered. Let me know if you'd like this formatted as a magazine feature, video narration, or turned into a visual slide deck.